This is the easier-to-read version of Animal Farm by George Orwell, retold and narrated by Sarah Simpson. Chapter 7. It was a cold, hard winter. There was ice and snow, and it stayed below freezing for months. Even though the weather was bad, the animals did their best to rebuild the windmill. They knew that the humans in town were watching them, and they didn't want to look weak. The humans said Snowball hadn't torn down the windmill. They said the storm knocked it over because the animals hadn't built the walls thick enough. The animals were sure the humans were lying. However, Napoleon decided that the walls should be 36 inches thick this time instead of 18 inches like before. Even then, the animals didn't figure out Napoleon's lie. The animals made a little progress on the windmill, but the cold weather made it difficult. The first time they built the windmill, the animals had been excited. This time, they weren't. They were cold and hungry. Boxer and Clover, the workhorses, were the only two animals who stayed positive. No matter how bad things were, Boxer would say, "I will work harder." By January, the animals were almost out of food. The corn was almost gone, so Napoleon told the animals they would have to eat potatoes instead. Unfortunately, most of the potatoes were rotten. The animals were starving to death, but they didn't want the humans to know. The animals didn't want the humans to think that they were weak and stupid, so they had Mr. Whymper spread rumors in town that the farm was successful. They had to hide the truth. To make the grain bins look full, Napoleon had the animals fill them up with sand, then put a little bit of grain on top. That way it looked like there was plenty of food. The animals knew the truth, but they would never admit to the humans that the farm was struggling. Napoleon stayed in the farmhouse all the time now. He almost never went outside. He only talked to the pigs. If Napoleon had a message for the animals, he sent Squealer to tell them. When Napoleon did come out, he had 6 angry dogs guarding him. The dogs would growl if anyone got too close to Napoleon. By the end of January, there was no food left. The animals would have to trade with humans to get more food, or they would die. Napoleon made a deal with the humans. The animals would sell 400 eggs to the humans every week. This would be enough money to pay for grain to keep them alive. When the hens heard that they would have to lay 400 eggs a week, they were upset. The hens said that selling their eggs was murder. The eggs should be allowed to hatch and grow up to be chickens. The hens decided to stand up for themselves. They refused to let Napoleon sell their eggs. They said they'd rather the eggs be destroyed than sold. The hens would fly up to the top of the barn with their eggs, then drop the eggs to break on the ground. As punishment, Napoleon took all the hens' food away. He said that anyone who gave food to the hens would be killed. After 5 days without food, the hens gave their eggs to Napoleon. 9 hens had died by then, but Napoleon said it was from an infection that killed them. This, of course, was a lie. They had starved to death. Nobody was brave enough to say the truth. They were scared that they would be killed if they spoke out about Napoleon's lies. The animals hid the truth about the hens' deaths from the humans. Snowball hadn't been back since the windmill was destroyed. There were rumors that Snowball was hiding on either Foxwood Farm with Mr. Pilkington or Pinchfield Farm with Mr. Frederick. Napoleon was starting to have more interaction with Mr. Pilkington and Mr. Frederick. There was a pile of firewood on Animal Farm that both of them wanted to buy. It seemed like whenever Napoleon was about to sell the firewood to one of them, rumors would start up that Snowball was hiding on one of the farms, and the deal would be put off. This was a strategy Napoleon was using both to control the animals and to create a bad relationship between Mr. Pilkington and Mr. Frederick. The animals were too afraid of Snowball to start talking to either Mr. Pilkington or Mr. Frederick. That let Napoleon continue to keep the bad conditions on Animal Farm a secret. By constantly changing his mind about who to sell the firewood to, Napoleon was creating a bad relationship between Mr. Pilkington and Mr. Frederick, preventing them from joining together against Animal Farm. Life on the farm kept getting worse and worse. Many of the animals were starting to think that Napoleon was doing a bad job as leader, even if they were too scared to say so in public. They were not happy, and Napoleon worried that they might have a rebellion to take power away from him. Napoleon started rumors that Snowball was coming back at night to harm the farm. The animals were so afraid of what Snowball might do that they forgot about Napoleon's bad leadership. If there wasn't enough food, it was because Snowball was coming in at night and stealing it. If milk got spilled, it was because Snowball dumped it out. If eggs were broken, it was because Snowball broke them. If the key to the storeroom was missing, it was because Snowball threw it down the well. Even after someone found the key misplaced under some straw in the barn, they still blamed Snowball. The animals were so busy worrying about what Snowball would do next that they stopped questioning Napoleon's bad and selfish decisions. It was the perfect distraction from the truth. One day, Squealer came to the animals with more news about Snowball. "Comrades," Squealer said, "Snowball has done another bad thing. Snowball is living on Pinchfield Farm with Mr. Frederick. Snowball is helping Mr. Frederick make plans to come with guns to take the farm. We thought Snowball was our friend during the rebellion, but it was all a lie. Snowball was working with Mr. Jones and the humans the whole time. Remember what happened at the Battle of the Cowshed, comrades? Remember how Snowball tried to get all of us killed, but Napoleon saved us?" This was not what had happened at the Battle of the Cowshed. Snowball had nearly died trying to protect the farm. However, it was so long ago that the animals didn't remember it very well, so they believed what Squealer told them. "Napoleon was so brave in the Battle of the Cowshed," Squealer continued. "While Snowball was running away, Napoleon shouted, 'Death to humanity!' and bit Mr. Jones on the leg. Remember that, comrades?" Nobody remembered anything like that happening, but if Squealer said it, it must be true. "Comrade Napoleon says that Snowball was helping the humans from the very start," Squealer said. "If Comrade Napoleon says it, it must be right," Boxer agreed. Even though Boxer was agreeing with Squealer, Squealer gave Boxer a mean and angry look. Squealer was jealous of Boxer. Boxer was strong, and the other animals liked him. Nobody liked Squealer. "Be careful," Squealer said to the animals. "Snowball's allies are everywhere. His secret friends are all over the farm, so be careful who you talk to." The animals looked at one another with fear in their eyes. What if one of them was a secret friend of Snowball's? They didn't trust one another anymore. A few days later, Napoleon called a special meeting in the barn. As always, the 9 huge dogs were with him. The animals had a bad feeling that something terrible was about to happen. Napoleon didn't say anything, but 4 of the dogs jumped at the animals. The dogs used their teeth to grab 4 of the pigs and drag them to Napoleon's feet. Once the dogs tasted the pig's blood, they went crazy. 3 of the dogs attacked Boxer. Boxer saw them coming and used his big hoof to knock one of the dogs down and pin it to the ground. The other dogs ran away in fear. Boxer looked at Napoleon to know whether he should crush the dog to death or let it go. Napoleon told Boxer to let the dog go, and the dog ran away. Napoleon looked upset. The 4 pigs were still on the ground in front of Napoleon. Napoleon told the pigs to confess their crimes if they wanted to live. The pigs said that they had been working with Snowball ever since the rebellion. They had helped tear down the windmill. They were working with Mr. Jones and Mr. Frederick to give the farm to the humans. The pigs' confession was ridiculous. They hadn't really done any of the things they said they had done, but they thought that if they gave a confession, Napoleon would let them live. They were wrong. As soon as they were finished, the dogs attacked and tore their throats out. Napoleon asked if any other animals had something to confess. Seeing what happened to the pigs should have made everyone else stay quiet, but it was like some of the animals went crazy. They started to confess to crimes they hadn't committed. The hens said that Snowball came to them in a dream and told them not to listen to Napoleon. The dogs killed them. A goose said he had stolen corn and eaten it in secret. The dogs killed him. A sheep said she had peed in the drinking water because Snowball told her to. The dogs killed her. 2 other sheep said that they had killed one of Napoleon's favorite rams by chasing him around playing tag when they knew he had a cough. The dogs killed him. More animals confessed to crimes. The dogs killed all of them. By the time it was over, the smell of blood was so strong the animals who were still alive felt sick. There had been killings when Mr. Jones was in charge, but this seemed worse. Until now, no animal had killed another animal. It was one of the commandments. The animals who were still alive went to the little hill where the windmill was being built and laid down in the grass together. They were upset and afraid. "I don't understand how something so horrible could happen on our farm," Boxer said. "It must be because we did something wrong. We have to work harder. From now on, I'll get up 60 minutes early so I can work more." Boxer walked away slowly and started to haul stone up the hill for the windmill. The animals huddled around Clover. She was like a mother to them, and being close to her made them feel a little better. Clover was crying. This wasn't the life she wanted when she fought in the rebellion. All of the animals were supposed to be equal. All the animals were supposed to work together to make life better. The strong were supposed to protect the weak. Instead, the strong abused their power and hurt the weak. Some animals worked so hard they died, while other animals never worked at all. Life wasn't better. Life was worse. They were hungry and afraid. Still, Clover thought, things had to be better than when Mr. Jones was in charge. If Napoleon was what kept Mr. Jones away, she would support him. Clover began to sing Beasts of England. The other animals joined until all of them were singing together. In the past, they had sounded happy when they sang the song. This time, they sounded sad. When they finished singing, Squealer and 2 dogs came up the hill. Squealer told them that Comrade Napoleon said that it was now against the rules to sing Beasts of England. They should never sing it again. The animals couldn't believe what they were hearing. The entire rebellion was started because of the ideas in that song. "We don't need the song anymore," Squealer said. "The song was for the rebellion. The rebellion is over. Our enemies are gone. We have a perfect society now, so there's no reason to sing the song." Even though they were afraid, some of the animals would have argued with Squealer. However, the sheep started to bleat, "4 legs good, 2 legs bad," so loudly that nobody else could talk. They never sang Beasts of England again. Instead, they were taught a very short, new song. Animal farm, never will I cause it harm." The animals didn't think the song was as good as Beasts of England, but they were too afraid to say so.